to stay anonymous, feel free to turn yourself into a black box and rename yourself whatever you'd like. So the second thing is that at the end of the conversation, we'll have some time for a Q&A. So you can ask questions via the chat box or also directly to Taryn. So let's get started. Taryn, so I've carefully examined your LinkedIn profile. So you are currently the Director of Investor Relations at Telegraph Hill Capital. You're a board member at Wingate. You're a jury member at the Accelerator, which is a part of a European Innovation Council. And you're also the CEO and co-founder of Impulse for Women. Okay, before I learn your secrets to work-life sustainability, I want to tackle these one by one to get a better sense of what it is you're doing and where you're working. So let's start with the first one. Telegraph Hill Capital. Can you say a little bit about what that is and what you're doing there?
Hello, thank you very much for your attention and to inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you, and please feel free to ask me anything. And if I'm saying something that you don't understand, it could happen because sometimes we go very quickly. So could you repeat again the question, Katrina, because it was off your voice.
Yeah, no problem. Let me know too if I get broken up. Just send me a signal.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So I was going over where you currently work, and I wanted.
No, the question was the only
right. So so what are you doing at Telegraph Hill Capital? Can you give us a sense of what your role is there and what Telegraph Hill Capital is?
Mm-hmm. I started to work into TH Capital. We are an early stage fund, which does it mean that we start to invest in startups that they are invoicing every month from 20,000 euros up to 25,000, 30,000 euros. Then we started to analyze them and to see if we want to participate in their shares. We are investing especially in United States and Canada since 2008. And we are mainly investing in B2B companies, software, and in 5 different verticals like cybersecurity, FinTech, education tech, digital health, and PropTech. But for sure, we're also analyzing any other type of startups.
Cool.
And basically helping them to fundraise the fund number 2. Right. And I'm super happy with them. Really, it's very good.
I've also pitched to them, and it's a great team over there. Okay, so that's one role.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you're a board member of Wingate. What is Wingate? This could be relevant for some of us.
Wingate is a unit that it's like a kind of brainstorming that the European Commission made about. We are 11 females from different countries of Europe. And all of us, we have different units of expertise. And my expertise is coming through helping females to become much more tech entrepreneurs and also bring more potential females investors to the sector.
Okay, super. You're also a jury member at an accelerator. Can you tell us a bit about this?
Yeah, the European Commission have a CME Innovation Program that they're helping to all those startups that, for example, it takes very long to go out to the market, that it's very difficult to fundraise just because venture capital or business angel or family office, what they're looking is to get the money in, scale up, grow, and then give us the money back, plus the profits. But all those startups that are going, especially in health, that they have so long time of investigation, they do not find anyone that could fund them or invest on them. So it's a kind of grant that the European Commission, well, actually it's a grant that the European Commission they're giving to them of a maximum of 2.5 million to help them to develop the project and go to the market.
Okay.
This year, that's something important. That was in January. It's a part-time work, and I'm only doing that for weeks. They make the call outs, and then you apply for it, and you got we are 120 jury members from the sector, and most of us, we are investors, but they are also academic people and experts from different areas of corporate. But this year, especially, they wanted to open a quote specifically for females and for social impact. So I suggest you that in case that you wanted to apply, let me know if you are prepared, and I will send you a link, or I can send a link to Katrina and she could share with you.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then finally, you're the CEO and co-founder of Impulse for Women.
Yep.
Tell us about Impulse for Women.
That's a super funny story. I was in 2017 after seeing some pictures at WIDA. It's a Telefonica accelerator incubator. I was having some wine with another investors, and then my Capital GP, general partner, came over and said, Taryn, do you want to be part of the second fund as a GP? And I was like, wow, that's super amazing. Yeah, thank you very much for your offer. And then I was talking to my friends, and I told them that I was, they suggest me to become a GP. So they started like, Taryn, there's only 4 females in the whole Spain that they are GPs of venture capital. I was like, I can't believe that. Actually, because my background has been always in the private banking, and I have been surrounded of ties all my life. And I was seeing the opportunity here in the tech sector, how females could prove their values. They do not have sky, it's not the limit actually. You can do whatever you want. You just have to push and to go. And we got a lot of abilities that we can make it happen. Okay, just for being a woman, because resilience is just an adjective that we have. Women have it already, just being a woman. So, and it's something that for being in a startup, you really need it to, there's some days that they're very crazy and other ones that they could be super successful, but you need to go down and up. And every time that you're down, you need to push again. And I was like, okay, what's the problem with the females? And we start to make a kind of brainstorm with my friends, and we didn't arrive to any conclusion. This is why we decided to bring over a non-profit organization to connect females with females lead tech startups with investors. The point is that the investors' average lifetime for us is 10 years. And depending on the maturity and the economic needs that you have as a startup, you have different types of investors. We start with the business angels, with the family offices, with the venture capital. We also have along the corporate venture capital, all those funds that are coming directly from a big corporate, and they are investing in their own ecosystem. They build up a fund for them. And they are almost the same like the venture capital. And also we have the private equity. Private equity is a very big fund. Normally what they are doing is buying companies that could fix them in their own ecosystem. And well, finally the exit of a startup is going to the stock market like the NASDAQ, or a big corporate will come and buy it, or the private equity. So we started to build up this matchmaking on platform. And now we are offering also a lot of different services to help them to move in their ecosystem. So we offer like mentoring sessions, webinars, grants communications. Every time that we hear a grant, we are communicating for you, so you can go and pitch, and you have the option to apply. We started in Spain in 2017. One of the biggest problems that we have as an investor is that it's very difficult to find females. Normally females are split off. So for us, was one of our goals to put all the females together and make it easy to the investors to knock the door. What happened is when we started in Spain, we didn't find more than 150 females, and we were like, okay, we're not sexy to ask to these investors to come over and say, hey. So we moved forward to Europe with the perspective to jump to United States and Canada. In Europe, we were not scared because I was also a jury member at the European Commission, so I received deal flow from there, and also I have all my friends are investors from here, so my networking was good positioned. And my second step, United States and Canada, my investors networking, it's pretty high as well. So we were like, okay, let's gonna jump to Europe. And what happened is that there's no charge to be part of Impulse for Women for startups. But we ask you to refer another one because we were helping you. So you have to help another one because all the co-founders, we were working, all of us in another place. So it was something like, okay, we're going to help. That's it. And this is why we were asking you, hey, we're helping you, you have to help. And all of us, we have to support the ecosystem. So the funny thing that we didn't expect that the females were so collaborative. They started to come with 3-4 names, but not from Europe. One from Pakistan, another one from Lebanon, another one from South Africa. And we were like, what am I going to do now with all this? Like, I want to focus. I cannot split off so much, just to not to lose the straight point. That is something very important when you are starting something, a project. And I was try to look after solutions. And then is when we found out that if we were starting to work the offline through the public and private organizations, we were able to arrive to different countries at the same time. So we started to build up events with the ITU Telecom, the United Nations Telecom, that they are very focused on artificial intelligence. We started to work also with the United Nations World Tourism Organization, with the GSMA Mobile World Capital. Now with AWS, we're offering grants to all those females that need software. They just for being into Impulse for Women, you have access to 10,000 credits for software. And for example, with Google, we're going to do now another call out to make mentorings and to try to help you. So that's Impulse for Women. We work with both model online for those online events and also the matchmaking platform, and the offline helping as a third party to another ones, offering our database. And,
wow. Okay, there's a lot there. I want to unpack some of these things that you've said. So you've created, so it was this project idea, and it's blossomed into something much bigger, more than just matching entrepreneurs with investors from all over the world, but also providing these mentoring services, access to grants, really creating a supportive ecosystem for not just women entrepreneurs, but also men or women that are involved with social impact projects.
Yes.
So can you tell me a little bit about why you decided, was it always the vision that you wanted to include social impact projects, or did that happen later down the line?
It was in the first day. Yes, when we started I went to Madrid to visit some person that they do have a social impact fund, a private one. And I was talking to her about Impulse for Women, just in case that if she wanted to participate in our project. And then when I was with her, I told her, I'm gonna run after the social impact projects as well, but it will be second phase. And she was looking to me like, why? And say, because I really cannot validate which startups are from the social, they cover the KPIs that you should have for being a social impact fund. And then she said, okay, but I don't know that. What I do not know is how to validate a technology startup. And I was like, well, that's super easy for me. So I asked her if she wanted to join us, and she's in charge of our social impact division. What happened is that was at the beginning of the discussion, because we didn't want to avoid males, founders and co-founders. When we're talking about social impact, everything that is regarding to human being, climate, ecosystem is everyone involved. So we are inclusive. This is why we do not care if they're male or female, the founders.
I see.
What happened is I started to search after social impact funds, especially in the north of Europe. And it was super surprising because they're investing in water tech, agri tech, food tech, but they're also investing in a truck or cows or rice seeds or little fisherman boats. And I was like, wow, here is like a mix. So we had include the technology and non-technology projects in matter of social impact projects. We are not doing that for the female lead tech startups because all the investors that I'm inviting, they're coming from the tech ecosystem. The point is that we are also helping to corporates that they do not know how to make the digital transformation of their companies. And as we have, right now you are 3,000 startups under Impulse for Women, and we have a lot of verticals over there. So if there is a company that would like to know how different startups of intellectual property, we could offer them, we offer them, and we help them to develop the digital transformation of the company. But at the same time, they're becoming clients of the startup. And as I told you before, a venture capital is only investing in a startup when they are invoicing. So corporates, startups, and investors are the three key points, and they must go together always. So giving those support to the corporates, we found out that we also covering the CSR department of the corporates through our social impact projects. So this is why we didn't care that it would not be saying that they are non-technology startups.
I see. So many of our students actually are interested in doing social impact work. So I'm asking a question around this specifically. So how do you validate a social impact project?
We validated it through how many KPIs are they covering, but especially it's not so much the, for example, it's very easy when we put examples with things. You can find the malaria vaccine, but can everyone in Africa use it? Or only the tourists that they're going over there? So if everyone could use it, that's social impact. It's a purpose. So that's the key point for us. And the funny thing is that 80% of the female startups that they are into the female ecosystem in our unit are social impact projects.
Yeah, so this makes sense. Yeah. And in fact, so our mission as an all-women coding school, the assumption is that when we get more women into tech, it will diversify tech, and we'll see technology be using for social good. And it's interesting because most of our students, when they're building their full stack apps, are building, full stack apps for the community. So this doesn't surprise me at all. Why did you decide to structure Impulse for Women as a nonprofit organization and not like a social venture?
Because at the beginning, we were only thinking to help. As I said, we were working in other places. I was at TH Capital. My other co-founders were working in one as a business angel or a partner of an M&A company. Another one, she's in venture capital as well. So we were already having different jobs, and the balance started to turn over as long as I started to talk and to reach people. And I started to build up a board for each unit, because I was thinking that, okay, if we want to give credibility to the startups that we are doing our work, is not only validated because I'm Taryn Andersen, but if Taryn Andersen has a board of 10 people, business angels, for example, that are validating all the works and communications that we're doing to the business angels community, it's going to be much more stronger. We did the same with the venture capital. We did the same with the private equity. And we did the same for social impact projects and startups. Right now, for startup, we only have the founder of Fitbit and N26. We don't care if they're male or females, our board members. And also what happened, it was a lot of females that they wanted to participate into Impulse for Women, but they were not investors. So we opened an ambassador unit for all those that they wanted to help in their own city and country to develop the female lead tech ecosystem. It's funny because there's no any reason that could support why females have so different relationship with investors compared to males. There could be a lot of reasons, and we didn't find out which one is it. But what we know for sure, if there's any biocodification behind the fact that if you're an Impulse for Women and an investor is calling you, we're reducing the lag, because you already know that he's coming for your business model. Mm-hmm. And actually, I want to say something very important as an investor. We are receiving per year 1,500 startups. We do not have time to review 20 sheets per startup. We only look at one-page deck that have to be everything in it. And if we like the business model, we call you. We ask you for how you make profits, and then it's coming the team afterwards. So don't think that they're not going to look at you because you're a female. It's not true. If you got a very good business model, and I can tell you after seeing 1,500 per year, when you see something that is super good, you do not care if it's a male or female. You just want to observe and look where I have to go. You have to also to know the other side. You feel like, okay, that's an investor, they're like the big boss. No, we are not the big boss. The GPs, they're putting 2.5% of the whole amount of the venture capital. If it's 20 million euros, we're talking a very little percentage of money, okay? The rest is coming from third parties and other investors. So finally, who is the boss? The investors, that they're giving their money to us to manage them and to invest. Mm-hmm. Why I'm saying that? Because if you're a public fund, that could happen, because especially in Europe and in a lot of countries, they're helping and supporting to the technology sector through giving a lot of grants. And if you're a public fund, okay, it's much more easy to invest, and you have different rules. But if you're a private one, you have to sit down with people that you have to explain them, why are you investing in A and not in B? And one of the things that when we're investing is to ask you the 100% of the compromise with us. If we doubt that you're not going to be 100% in the startup or working for the startup, we're not going to invest on you. I'm not sure if you're going to go for after fundraising or not, but I just tell you a lot of tips that it's very important that you really absorb and understand. So you take a lot of barriers in your mind.
Right. So this point where you say, you're interested in the business model, you don't care about the sex. But we also know that, so just pulling a statistic in the US, and we can find this statistic in different places. So many startup statistics come from the US, so let's just use that as an example. I think it was last year, women-founded companies make up for 40% of private companies, and yet they receive just 2% of venture capitalism. So should I interpret that as our business models suck? I mean, how do you explain why they're not receiving the VC funding if they just care about the business models?
There's something that we have to understand. We need more female investors. The way that we interact with the startup, it's different. The male, when he's looking at a female that she's coming like a soldier, okay, they recognize it perfectly like them. It's like a male pattern. until we do not start to have much more females. And I'm going to tell you that just because I'm observing them, not because I'm not a male. I mean, I cannot see it, but I see the way that they react every time, especially as the jury members, the European Commission. We're seeing a lot of startups every day, yes, when we are validating. And you could see the way that they get like, wow, I like that startup, I like that woman. But there are women that they're like much more pushers. And then you have another type of women that they're super soft, but they really have a super good business model. And the point is that it's very important to bring more females on the board and as an investors. Why? Because it's not that we're not going to look at the profits. We all of us look in the same profits, but the way that we interact is much more nicer or different, or we do not care if you're not a soldier, because we're seeing the way that you are making a strategy and in the long term and how are you going to make it, you know? And I think that's one point. And another one, I just have to say that we build Impulse for Women because we don't find females venture capital so easy.
Yeah, so that was my next point. You are sort of a gem. You're one of the few female VCs out there. And so why do you think this is? Why are there not more women in the VC world?
Actually, I do not understand it why, really. Because it's incredible.
Yeah.
Promise is very nice to join and to see all the startups. It's like you are sitting over there and you could see, I'm seeing startups from all the places of the world. When it's coming anyone that is have an add value from different from the other ones. And also you have to, we analyze it permanently. So I could see which fashions or which types of startups were much more fashion one year than another one. And the way that one, the way that culturally they're adding another things than from the other side of the world. And there's I really like it. I mean, and it's everything. It seems like we got some KPIs and we're not going to move out from there. And our biggest fear, it's the team. We really have problems to have enough vision. We are not psychologists, but we should be much more, because the reason why the startups of our portfolios are gone is because the team is not going along together. Yeah.
Interesting.
And you can perceive, if we arrive to it's coming one startup and the 3 males engineers know any type of mindset of commercials mindset, or they don't even have the vision to hire a sales manager, they're off. That people are going to be like 3-4 years being super perfect with the software until they go out to the market, and time sometimes is running very fast. So by when they are done, that is going to be over. The market has already gone, you know. And if you, for example, you don't go very along with your partners, another thing that I really recommend you, especially when you're starting a startup, it's very important that the agreement partners is very well done, for sure. Basically, because if things are not running correctly, it's not a problem. The problem is when everything starts to go. And who have how much shares, depending of who's putting the capital, who is putting the time, the labor time, and who have the idea. These little things could be a very big problem in the next future once that starts running and it goes. So it's important that the agreement partners is done very well signed before any investor is coming in and before you really prove on the market that your product or service it's validated and you're gonna have there's a need for your product or service. Yes.
Okay, so I have a question about your opinion on quotas, but before I go to that, I want to so get back to this point about there's so few women in the VC world. And you said, I don't know why that is. I think I like to, especially in this series, when we're meeting women who are in these unique positions, to sort of go back in their history and get a sense of how they got to where they are now. It's likely that, you know, when you were a little girl, you weren't set on the path of becoming a VC, or maybe you were, I don't know. But can you tell us a little bit about how you got to the VC world? Because I can tell you certainly, I Googled VC for the first time. I'm 36, like just a couple of years ago. It was a realm that I didn't know much about, but when I had to go fund my seed round, I needed to learn about it really quickly. So how did you become familiar about the VC world?
Well, actually, it's like super weird. I have been working in the private banking until 2013, and then I decided to build up I made an MBA at IES Business School in 2012, 2013. Then in March 2013, I decided to move over and became an entrepreneur. Then I
was everyone saying, oh, you lack focus, what are you doing? You should just settle down. Why are you jumping and changing?
Yeah. And they were right. Then I jumped to the entrepreneur world, and I started to become a part. I became a partner of a betting company in the south of Spain for horse races. And at the beginning, I was how do you say that? Yeah, I was like trying to bring more consumers to the races, and I became a mentor in different boot camps, startups boot camp, Wires, and so on, and Sonar, and I decided to learn also what was going on the market with the objective to become a client. Okay, so the fact was that I met this venture capital, and they came over and said, Taryn, you have been, my last project in the private banking was to open the multifamily offices for a corporate and finance financial boutique from Madrid, to open it in Barcelona. So the high net worth families and families from Barcelona, I used to know them. This is why it was good to have this both perspective. One, because I was controlling startups in the technology sector by my own. I started there in 2014 to become a mentor and to be very along with the tech ecosystem. And I started to work at the venture capital in 2016 because they were going to fundraise a second fund. This is why they asked me to be involved. And I really love it.
Okay. Okay, so going back to the teams and the lack of representation there, are you a proponent for quotas? So like in California, for example, there was I don't know if it's been instituted, but at least there was conversation about making sure that boards of startups have a certain amount of diversity on them. What's your feeling on quotas?
Okay, if you have the knowledge, you should apply. The point is, that's very funny. Females does that, and it really drives me crazy. You got an application for a job, and if they ask for 10 skills and the female only covers 5, she's not going to go. All the males are going to apply. Why? Because they think, okay, I will learn it on my way. Mm-hmm. Females, they say no. They are another thing. Females, we generally do. Doesn't matter from which part of the wall are we, because we've got it in the DNA. Yes. They suggest you for a job and you're asking for the title. And sometimes you don't even say anything about the salary. So in one way or another one, we are doing the same when we are talking about startups, and we're talking about how to raise capital. I don't know which is our weakness part, but it exists. And about the quotes, it's funny because if you're a female, for example, the boards, at the European Commission, we're talking about that. And I was like, okay, can we make some academic 2-3 weeks to let them know what they are supposed to know to become a board member of any corporate? The surprise will come, and I bet you that it's a personal opinion, but I bet you that it's going to be a nice surprise, because most of them, they already know what they have supposed to have of knowledge to be part of a board as a board member of any corporate. But until they don't realize, okay, that's all the skills that I have supposed to have, they're not going to apply for it. And that is something that have to be with our aptitude.
Mm-hmm. So does this also apply when you're evaluating startups and looking at the projections? Do you take this into account, where men potentially might overproject and women startups are underprojecting?
No, it's funny because normally females, they have a mistake of plus 5% over or minus of the real budget, the cash flow that they need. No, males, you have to take 25% off and you have to review it just in case. We're completely different. They could sell you like the best thing with so much passion that you really think that he's saying like, wow. But females, they're not doing that, and they're very quiet, saying, no, here and maybe here I'm very tight or not. But you're like, come on. I really recommend not to do what females does, that if they need money, they ask it for the next 3 years. And I do not recommend you to do it for 1 year. That's the way that males mindset have, okay? Do it for 2, be in the middle. And the point is that you need 40% of your time and to fundraise, if you wanted to really fundraise correctly. So what happens is that 40% of your time you're taking off from your project. Time is something that is very, very important once that you are launching. It's a KPI that we have to consider and evaluate it. And taking 40% of your time, this is why it's very important to know which type of investor you have to go to look at. I remember a startup from Canada. She was like, Taryn, I wish I could meet you 4 months ago. I spent like 3 months only going after venture capital. And thanks God, one said to me, why are you coming to venture capital if you are not prepared for us? And then I realized that my target was the business angels.
So I guess if I was an investor and I saw this trend of women, okay, underprojecting, fine. But I would look at this conservative approach as I would have a positive bias towards it, actually, because they're being more realistic and maybe conservative, right? I would look at that highly. And so I would think, hey, men entrepreneurs out there, why don't you take some lessons from women that are, forecasting money better? But you're suggesting that potentially to basically play the game and fight a little bit harder.
Not at all.
No.
We have to do it because it's a male sector dominated.
Yeah.
But we don't have to lose our self. I mean, we are females. The point is that there's not so many females over there. But once that you have it, and if you have if you're building a startup that you're solving a problem, they're gonna take you off from the hands of your project. We are gonna run behind you. Come on. The first point when you have an idea is to think, I am solving a problem. If the answer is yes, you're covering a need in the market. Corporates, you don't have to persuade them to buy your product or service. They need it. You're going to sell it like that. Boom. Yeah, it's very important that little questions, once that you're preparing your idea.
Yeah.
Just to be sure that what you're doing is going to work or not.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel pressure as a woman investor to invest in women-founded companies?
No.
Because right, like sometimes I feel like often the burden of patriarchy can be placed on women, and that like and it's not necessarily a burden, obviously, to invest in a women-founded company. Women can have great companies, but that there is this pressure of, because you're a woman, you should ally up, and
no. As I told you, we're looking for profits, and we have to give an answer to our investors. And I want my investors for the third fund and the fourth fund. Mm-hmm. So I am explaining you how are we working inside to open your mind and then put yourself in the other side. So you don't have to be a soldier to be good, because we're doing super good. Actually, results are coming very positive for us. The point is that we are not believing in us a lot of the times. And that's something that I think that we do have a problem from education, and our mothers are the worst ones in the world for that. Because you got a little child, it's a boy, he's running, he falls down, he cries, and the mother, what she will say is, come on, stand up and go after the ball. She's pushing him challenge since the first day. What are you doing with the little baby, the girl? She's crying, oh, my little baby, come here, I'm gonna give you a kiss. So we are educated in different roles, and I don't know why, because we are the same exactly, but we already do it. And we are all completely, doesn't matter which country we are, they're gonna happen the same in many countries. Mother is treating girls differently than the boys. I'm a mother, just to tell you, but actually I have two girls. So both of them, they were growing up.
Little warriors, huh? Okay, so I want to ask about COVID and how that's impacted the VC world, and as well as Impulse for Women in Startups. What have you seen, and what do you predict in the near future?
Well, actually, I could say that we are right now going through a technology revolution. It was the industrial revolution, now is a technology. And there is a lot of things that they already came here, that we acquire new habits in our lifestyle. And some of them, they're gonna be, we will maintain them. By one side, in a positive way, is that if you are in the tech ecosystem, actually, it's a sector that is not having so much problems, even though that technology are covering all the sectors, especially all those streams and regarding flights, traveling, hotels. It's having a hard time right now, but we will not quit traveling or having new experience, even though that the technology it's arriving to our houses, like robots and artificial intelligence and blockchains and everything. But it's not going to be the same. Mm-hmm. We have made in these 6 months and almost 10 years of what we were supposed to go in a normal way, you know. We are forced in 4 or 5 months to we make a jump of 10 years.
Mm-hmm. So you see this as a technological revolution, and so that's from like the startup realm. But then for VCs, I mean, perhaps there's a lot of lost money. Businesses are going under. Do you see changes in the behavior of how VCs are funding startups, or has there been a shift in values? Are VCs caring more about whether or not a company is sustainable, more profitable, etc.?
the fact is that we have good news and bad news, for sure. There's some of them, I mean, in our experience, some of them that they're in the restaurant sector. If they didn't have cash flow enough to cover and to hold the crisis, they're struggling. That's one point. By the other side, a lot of our startups that we have already invested on them, that they're talking about big data, people were very involved to start to use applications to work with a lot of different technological applications. And big data has been one of the most important growth that we had. We have sectors like gaming, sex toys, delivery, depending on which country you got, the Deliveroo or Glovo here in Spain or anyone and they have almost 250% of growth per week. That was when we started the COVID. Zoom went from 10 million users March to 100 in 1 month only. I mean, everything has been an explosion. Yeah, and also the way that we were interacting at home, we make a lot of use of the social media, for Netflix as well. You could see all the rates have been growing and growing and growing. And some of them, you're still using it, even though that you can go out to the street. Now you get the habit. Now you know how to play with it and you like it. This is why there's some things that they're gonna be, when we are analyzing startups, some of them, they were like, okay, that's the passion of the COVID. And once that the COVID is gone, what we're gonna do with that? Okay, so there's another startups that they pivot the business model. So they use their software that they were using for something okay, what we're gonna do. And finally they found a hole there, so they could use the software and start to use also the data that they had already to redo the business model. And when you are being invested from a venture capital, we are very different types of venture capital. As an early stage, we create a lot of confidence with our startups, because at the beginning they're much more lost. They need help for their strategies, for confidence, and sometimes give me a solution that I cannot see. And we are very used to be all the day seeing different solutions, different ways of strategies, and how people are doing another things differently. So we could have a pipeline of or a lot of data to support and to help. So it's important sometimes that when you have a venture capital, that it's not only investing on you, it's also supporting you, especially at the beginning. And that creates a very strength relationship. Yeah. But it's important to analyze your investor when it's coming. Yes, you're gonna have a long.
What should we look out for?
Because sometimes you just need more money. Sometimes you just need money. Depending on your situation, if you got someone or sometimes you need a corporate, because you need to prove and test, and you also need to be how do you say, already included in the corporate ecosystem.
So Impulse for Women, this platform, what are the requirements to register? And so let's start with that question.
Only to refer at least one startup.
So, okay, so you need someone needs to refer you?
Or... No, you can go directly to the website, but if you want to upload We ask you to upload all the information. And remember that the information that we are asking you is what the investors are going to look at. The investors are paying for having access to your information. As much as you put over there and as much quality you're giving to them is your presentation and your access to them. So it's very important that you really put as much as you can, because they're going to be the ones who are going to be after you.
Okay.
And what I am asking is what an investor wants to know.
So do you have to be a registered company? Can you be at the idea stage?
Anyone. We cover since the beginning until the exit. We do have startups, mature startups, raising up 40 million euros and another one $60 million.
Okay.
In the United States. Yep.
So if I register tomorrow, I'm already registered, but if I were to register again tomorrow, what could I expect? I want to tap into your investor network.
Okay, you're not going to have access to the investor. It's the investor who has access to you. That's the first point. Who do you have access to? To the mentors. Mentors are not having access to you. If you need someone to help you, just search. You will see all the mentors. Right now it's not available, but in 2 weeks it's going to be. You just press the button, you see who is over there, and then you could get some mentoring session. Another unit that you also have, and startups can't see and they cannot see you, the incubators and accelerators. Every time that, if you have an idea, I'm going to explain you the difference between an incubator and accelerator. Okay, if you got an idea and you don't know how to build it, then search for incubators. The first step is go to the incubators from your own city. You're not supposed to move to any other place. Okay, reduce cost, because the cost, because you have to start at home, because you don't have, well, okay, if you have a lot of money and you want to waste it, super, but you don't need it. You don't need to waste anything. You could work from your room or your house or your whatever you want, but you don't need to get an office for that. Just start, develop the idea, search for the good incubators that is going with your mindset. You have to look after how much equity are they gonna ask you in case that you're being part of them. That's an important thing for you to know. Also, you have to check if there's anyone. Some incubators are general incubators, and other ones they're from selected verticals for food, for health, whatever. So just make a little bit of analysis before and analyze them. An accelerator. Okay, an accelerator, you already have your team. You are, the idea is more or less a little bit much more advanced. You start to test to the market. You already are starting to codify. Then you go to an accelerator. And please check also how much equity are they asking you to have. And they give you also support. But the difference is maybe, it depends of which incubators. You could find that they will help you also offering people to you to work in your team, to be part of you. Okay.
Okay. And if I want to get involved, if I want to become a VC, if I want to start working in that industry, what skill set should I be cultivating? How do I do it?
Look, I don't know.
I know that there are boot camps actually.
I know that there's some academic course, that they teach you, but actually, normally it's people that is coming from corporate finance that we already used to analyze. But the way that we analyze risk with a corporate, with a big corporate or SME corporate is not the same like a startup. So most of the people that they're coming to the venture capital is coming from M&A. Yeah.
Is it a hard industry to get into?
I don't know. actually.
I like your honesty, Taryn.
No, Katrine, because they already picked me up. I was on the ecosystem. I mean, it's like, for example, startups, something that I always say, don't go never to if you want to fundraise, okay, super. But then go to all the places, all the grants, everything. Stay having the networking time is super important, because maybe you can find a venture capital, even though that you are in an incubator, but it's someone that if your perspective is going to be to grow and to go out to the market, you need to know all these people. And it's not the same that you're coming to me when you need money, that when you don't need it.
Yeah.
Because when you don't need it, the relationship that we started to have is personal.
Yeah.
And we're going to start to talk with a lot of things differently. And the way that we will interact is very different. Sometimes I could tell you, because it's an experience, you could see that when venture capitals are invited, after that they are finished or done speaking, they run and go, some because they have work for sure, but another ones, they don't want to be mixed with the startups. And it's because they feel like the pressure, like now they're going to come behind me and they're going to start to pitch me, and I don't want to work now because I want to be with my friends.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it turns, and it's very important that you go to all those tech ecosystem events, events, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine, if you're an investor on a daily basis, how frequently you're hit up for money. Or on the flip side, if you're an entrepreneur and you're acquired, how many people start hitting you up for investment, right? So,
but it's the only chance that a startup has to reach to a venture capital. And it's super important for them, because the opinion, a lot of our opinion, the way that we are, our mindset, you're not going to know it if we're not coming next to you, you know? Yeah. So you're in the middle, like for sure it's, I don't like these people that they react like they are famous just because they're an investor. Because remember that they only have a little percentage of the fund. And some of them, they're only hired from the fund. Right, yes, exactly. Start to take all these barriers out, because we're not God, we're nothing. We're just people like you.
Exactly. Super cool. Thanks so much for sharing all this insight with us so candidly. I'm going to shut up now and open it up to our participants. Any questions? Feel free to unmute yourself.
There is a big list of questions. if possible, to ask a few, yeah. And thank you, Kate. I met Taryn a few months back. She really surprised me with her honesty and passion for female funding. It's really incredible. I have a few questions that are really maybe specific to my situation, but I'm sure that there are others. I think what I experience with my own startup is that it's difficult to raise funds being in a country that seems to be very successful. I'm in Sweden. Mm-hmm. And then there are silos, yeah, like I'm creating solution for expatriate management and for human rights due diligence that is going to be mandatory from next year in European Union, but it's very little discussion about it. There is very little understanding how this connect sustainable expatriation and human rights due diligence. So it's a lot of need to raise awareness. And when I have tried locally, as you said, do what you can locally in Sweden, yeah. So first I was told, so my startup started exactly from COVID time. So I was told that all social impact is frozen in Sweden. So it's just impossible. I had an incubator running after all possible solutions. They said, we would love to support you, but we can't. And we don't even know where to send you because we have asked and checked, there is no way. So basically, I'm sitting on innovation in human rights since March. And it's way beyond Swedish interests, because it's not the country that has a lot of corporate companies. It's not the country that has a lot of experts either. So the need is not really here, but the need is global. And when I'm trying to communicate it internationally, I see a lot of interest from US somehow, yeah, but it's not at home. And it's my question. I saw today also there are some specific now support in European Union for social entrepreneurs. Yeah, I have seen absolutely zero support, yeah, as a social entrepreneur since I started in 2012 my business. Yeah, it's like you're a woman, you are a foreigner in a country, you do everything on your own. And there is a lot of discussions, yeah, how we support women and all that, but it's not reality really. So what is your suggestion, yeah, to do in such a situation, that if you have a solution and it's proven and you know and you have a very good traction, yeah, and very good referrals from people who Harvard University professors, law firms who understand what you're trying to do, but you can't really do it locally, because I came to the point that I think I probably have to do it under another flag. So I'm prepared to move to another country, but the country who will understand, yeah, what I'm doing and that will support what I'm doing. Have you ever seen anything similar with the startups that are with Impulse for Women or in some other way? What's the ways?
The Impulse for Women. If I want to if I need incomes now for grow the team and the software and
sure
become bigger, and the best place to go is the United States.
Okay, thank you. That was a very frank answer.
No, promise. In Europe they're much more focused in enterprises than in social entrepreneurs. And in the United States, they don't help enterprises. They only help social impact entrepreneurs.
Interesting.
Besides that, you got some platforms, social impact platforms, that they are also matching, and I could put you in contact with them.
Please do.
Write me, because we already are in contact.
Yes, I will, Taryn, because that's it's just like going in circles and understanding that you are in a totally different zone, yeah, with all what you want to do.
No, but I'm in the same position. I'm at .org as well. I mean,
yeah. Well, welcome to the club. Thank you so much. Thank you. I will be in touch with you.
Yeah, text me and I send you some connections. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Hi, Taryn. We also met last year in Germany at the Data Natives.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I managed to catch you and have a chat. And thanks to you, I'm in this industry now. Yeah, exactly. Your story made me see that it's possible to make the change, you know. You also mentioned in our conversation like mentorship. You know, at that time, I didn't feel I was ready. But are you still doing this, like mentorship programs?
Yeah, what we're doing in Impulse for Women, we're making shots. I mean, we did one in April, and everything started because due to the COVID, we were, all my board are investors, and we were all of us helping to our portfolio startups, and we were like, oh, look, everyone is struggling, and somebody say, hey, my girls. Then I make a call out to my board, and it was incredible. A lot of them, they were over there. Actually, two girls were, well, two women, ladies, whatever, they were invested, because my investor and my mentors or experts are investors. So they were mentoring you, but at the same time, they were analyzing you as a startup. That was super funny. Yes. And the other mentors that you will find on the website now, in 2 weeks, give me some couple of weeks, they are experts of the European Commission, or they're investors right now. So it's a very, very high quality. And you just tag them and propose them if they want it, because it's going to be a matter of feeling, you know.
Yeah.
But I think that as I said before, time is very important. If you make a mistake that is going to take you 4 months to detect it, to go back, you're losing time. 4 months.
Yeah.
So as long as you could be protected and have someone to test what are you doing and the mindset, a mentor doesn't have to tell you what you have to do. It have to open your eyes, and also aware are you that if you're going over there or the other, it could happen that and that. That's the paper. They're not supposed to tell you what you have to do.
Yeah.
Please don't do it like that. Because
no,
someone
just,
could be
yeah. It's like coming from a design industry, going into a tech startup, but not knowing the industry at all, you know. So just to have someone who's been through it and just a bit of guidance, you know. So for me, that's the idea of the mentorship.
You're welcome. And if not, write me down, and then I will put you in contact with some of them. Just let me know which sector are you talking and how, which is your maturity, so I will put you with the correct one.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Super. You're welcome.
Just to add, I was part of that first iteration of mentoring back when COVID hit.
Yes.
And it was super incredible. My mentor was high caliber, amazing woman from the UK, and she helped a great deal. So high quality mentors there.
Who was your mentor?
Mary.
Mary. Oh, she's super good. She's from the European Commission. She's, do you remember?
She's a total
actually
rock star.
After you, she started to make more mentoring sessions to another ones.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
good.
She loved to do that.
I mean, she was an, you know, it's not every day that you meet someone like this, and she's a seasoned entrepreneur, super successful, and so down to earth, really frank, no bullshitter. And it was really natural talking with her. And I was like, of course, this is part of Taryn's network. Yeah, super awesome.
No, but it's super. Look, we are women. We need to talk and to communicate. Yes, it's our nature. I mean, and it's super nice to be like that. We just have to communicate and to know what is going on. Hey, it's gonna make you jump just 1 hour, and it's gonna give you so many tips to run much more faster and to avoid mistakes.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I have a question. It's actually for you, Katrina. Sorry, Taryn. I love just kind of doing the bridge. I would love to hear a little bit of Katrina's journey through this process of pitching for investors and getting the round, and how did it go for you? And being a solo co-founder, by the way, right? You're by yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how was your journey?
It was a fascinating experience. I like steep learning curves, and I had no idea about fundraising, really no idea. And I went into CodeOp assuming that it would fail, and I just really wanted to get the idea out of my head, and I'm familiar with the probability of most startups failing. So I said, okay, let's just give this a go. It will fail, and I don't have to think about it anymore. And then we did our proof of concept. It worked, and I said, shit, now I need to start fundraising. I have no idea how to do that. And so the first place I went was a female founders network that's on Facebook. And, you know, it's filled with VCs, entrepreneurs, you know, like everyone on the spectrum. And they provided me with a lot of good insight. And I started reading up, and I went sort of head first. And to be honest, I mean, I've heard horror stories. I had a really great experience. For me, it was about meeting a lot of interesting people. Obviously, it was an emotional roller coaster because, you know, actually most conversations with investors, I think, go well. You leave saying, it was a great conversation. And then it doesn't pan out, right? Like the conversion is very low. So it got a little intense for a while. And then I discovered the FOMO effect. And basically, like, you know, we were getting low on funds, and it needed to happen. And I was, you know, at this point, updating my CV. That's where we were at. I told Julia, I said, Julia, you better start looking for another job. And I just sort of appreciated it for what it was. And then all of a sudden we hit that tipping point, and that's when the FOMO effect took place. And then we had this, we were able to close the round that was oversubscribed with investors. So it was a really fascinating experience from like a psychological, anthropological perspective. And so actually, this was one of my favorite things about CodeOp, was experiencing this. And now I'm starting it again as of this week with Series A. So
this is what I was going to next and say. So you're ready for the next step?
Yeah, actually, I just pitched today for the first time for Series A. And in fact, I feel a lot more confident because I learned a great deal in the first round. And I've sort of, so something that really fed me when I first started fundraising was hearing it was 4 years from now, and it was some entrepreneurs that have been successful. They've been around for some time. They've completed their fundraising. And one of them said, so it was a panel discussion with 2 entrepreneurs and 2 VCs. I think it was actually the VC firm that Taryn is from. And one of the entrepreneurs said, listen, he was speaking to us entrepreneurs in the audience. And he said, what you need to realize is that VCs are just people who manage money. They just manage money. They're not experts in everything. And this sort of framed it in a way that felt a lot more friendly. And ultimately, like when you're pitching to investors, you're really looking to have a relationship with that person. So if you don't feel the vibe, then like I was advised that maybe this isn't a good relationship for you and you don't want to pursue that. Lucky for me, like really all 21 of our investors are super, super awesome. So it's been a good experience. It's like Tinder. It's like, I mean, you gotta develop some resilience. You gotta develop some resilience because like people are gonna ghost you. It's like you're making out with people, but you don't get to the final. Like
you don't have the what is it? What they call it? The DTR.
Oh my
that
gosh.
Conversation of what relationship do we have?
Yeah, exactly. So it's a total trip. And so if you take it for an adventure, I think that's like the right method to use to have fun with it.
Cool. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So if we don't have any more questions, we can call it a night. Thanks again to everyone for joining us, and especially Taryn for sharing all your insight with us. Many, many thanks.
I'm super happy. We need more females on the field.
Thank you, Taryn. I can bring so many if I only manage to get into this. Yeah, it's just meant for women.
Yes.
Keep struggling, yeah. Pushing forward, yeah. Thanks a lot for what you do. It's so valuable, really. Thank you.
We're very happy. And we're there, so we have to go.
Yes, yeah. We have no other choice. Yeah, only forward.
Yep.
Okay, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much for everything. And
thank you.
Thank you, Katrina. It's very nice. What are you doing? I really like it. Congratulations.
Yay.
Okay. Bye.
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 Bye-bye.